Hello, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Jorge Olson. I grew up in Tijuana, just across the border in Mexico. I grew up with my mother, single mother, and my grandmother. I lived there, born and raised. When I was growing up, I didn't have any running water. I didn't have any electricity. We used candles for light at night, sometimes petroleum lamps. For water, I had my two trusted buckets. And every day I walked about 100 yards. I filled up my buckets. I walked back up a flight of stairs, maybe 50 stairs. And I had water. And I did that about 3-5 times a day for maybe 8 years, going back and forward. So as an Olympian, maybe I'm a winner too. It was a resistant race, not a 100 yards. I remember one night as I was growing up, I was 8 years old, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I saw light flickering coming from my mother's bedroom. I got up, and I tippy-toed over to see what she was doing. And I peeked, and she was there studying. Must have been 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and she had a big round table, and she was studying at candlelight in the middle of the night. Seeing that, at the time I was 8 years old, seeing that left a deep emotional impression on me. I knew that my mother had to work during the day, sometimes up to 12 hours a day, and she was going to school in the evenings. There was no time left, so she had to study in the middle of the night and candlelights because we didn't have any electricity. So it left a deep emotional impression on me, and that impression traveled with me for many years to come, for the rest of my life even. At 8 years old, I understood that we didn't have a lot of money. At 8 years old, I understood that life was a little bit more difficult for me, that other kids had water and electricity and other things that we didn't have. I also understood that at the same time, my mother was putting herself through school. She was doing it for herself, and she was doing it for me. At 8 years old, I experienced what I call my first emotional high. What is an emotional high? An emotional high is when you have an experience tied to something emotional, something that you can't get rid of, that stays with you for a long time. I call that an emotional high. And at 8 years old, I had my first one, my first emotional high. I didn't use that emotional high for the longest time. But one day when I was going to school, I went to school here in San Diego, but I still lived in Tijuana. When I was going to school to the university, it was a long trek every day. I had to get up, walk about a mile, take a bus to downtown Tijuana, take another bus to the border, wait in line, like everybody else, cross the border, and after that get on the trolley, and then on another bus to go to school. It was about a 2-hour trek to get to school, and 2, 3, sometimes 4 or 5 hours to get back. More than once, I spent the night at school because I didn't have any money to come back. Doing this every day is taxing, not just on the body, because the body gets up and it gets going, but sometimes it is taxing on the mind. The mind starts playing tricks on you and saying, what are you doing? You're doing every day. Why don't you stay at home? Why don't you take a job for a little while, or a full-time job, and you can finish school in 2 years, or in 3 years. It doesn't really matter. You have to be sane, first of all. When these thoughts were coming to my brain, I reached over to the right-hand corner of my brain, and I took that emotional high that I had, and I started using it again. And I thought to myself, I don't have to support any kids. I don't have to study at candlelight in the middle of the night. Life is good. This is easy. I just have to get up and go to school and come back. Don't complain. Go to school. So what did I do? I didn't complain. I got up and I went to school every day, day after day, year after year. It didn't stop there. It followed me. My emotional high followed me as an employee, as an executive, and now as an entrepreneur. I've had a lot of emotional highs in my life. This is the first one that I had at 8 years old. I use my emotional highs to survive, to strive, sometimes to get through the day. I use my emotional highs at work. I use them in school. One day, I hope to use my emotional highs to inspire. Mr. Toastmaster.